Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. It's that time of year where we list the top 10 prospects for the Utah Mammoth. Before you do any sort of these lists, you got to give your criteria of what you think a prospect is. For me, in my videos, it's someone who's under the age of 25 and has 30 or less NHL games played. So obviously you're going to see no Gunthers, no Coolies. Maverick Lamoureux, he will make the cut if he's on this board. Will he be on this board? I don't know. He only had 15 games played in the NHL, so he's qualified. And here is the list of the 2023 top 10 prospects when the team was the Arizona Coyotes. And now here's a list of the 2024 top 10 prospects. You don't have to memorize these lists. I'll have each of their rankings next to the name if they're on those, and I'll put a sort of NA if this is their first time on the prospects board. Next week, we'll have the Utah Mammoth organizational depth chart, which it's always a great video to go through every single player that this team holds their NHL rights to. So we'll jump into it. Number 10. Now, number 10 has always had some problems. If you saw in those two pictures, in 2023, I had Jeremy Langlois, and in 2024, I had Justin Kipke. Both of those defensemen, Bill Armstrong decided not to sign to contracts, and they went off as free agents. Speaking of Kipke, he went back in the draft. In the most recent draft a month ago, Kipke went back in the draft. He was drafted by Minnesota in the 4th or 5th round, and now he's playing in ASU, the Arizona State NCAA hockey team. So pretty interesting coincidence there, how he's back in Arizona playing for that college team. And interesting, he went back in the draft, but too much diddly-daddling. Number 10 will be the 2022 36th overall draft pick, second round defenseman, 6'1", 187 pound, more of an offensive defenseman. It is Artem Duda, who I believe was on the other prospects list. So I got to put, he wasn't on 2023, but he was on 2024. So this is how we'll do it. So you guys can see he dropped a bit from 8 to 10. I think, well, he did miss a full year of development due to leaving the KHL in Russia to try and play in the NCAA in the state of Maine. There was complications. He barely played that year, but he did play a full year with Tucson this past season, the Roadrunners. He had 70 games, and in those 70 games, 6 goals, 29 points. In the playoff games that I watched for the Tucson Roadrunners, I think it was 3 games. They lost to the Abbotsford Canucks, who actually won the Cup in the American Hockey League. He looked way more noticeable than Lamoureux. He has great vision in the offensive zone. He's a smooth skater. I think he's worth a call-up, and maybe we'll see him don the Utah Mammoth jersey this upcoming season. Next, number 9, we have a fresh face here, another defenseman, 6'5", picked in the second round. He's actually 6'4", picked at 65th overall in the second round, 216-pound defenseman, 19 years old, Duda 21 years old. So you'll have a mix of 21, 19, maybe 18-year-olds on this list. But number 9 goes to Will Skahan, a bit of an underrated prospect, but he's turning some heads. He plays for Boston College in the NCAA. I almost wrote NCAA right there. But he got invited to the United States World Junior Summer Camp that's happening in a couple weeks. He was playing pretty big minutes for his first year ever at college. Like I said, played for Boston College, a pretty good NCAA team. He's physical. He plays with his stick. He's a great defensive defenseman. I think he really checks all the boxes Bill Armstrong wants from his defensemen, unlike guys like Kipke and Langlois, who didn't play the body, weren't good at breaking up cycles, breaking up plays. But Will Skahan, I think he fits the bill, and we're going to hear a lot about him moving forward. Like I said, he's 19 years old, and so another year in the NCAA for sure, but maybe expect an entry-level contract to be signed at the end of this NCAA year. I really do think he's an underrated prospect, and we should really pay attention to him. Next, we'll go to number 8, another prospect who wasn't on any of the other lists. Pretty much probably going to be a recency bias fallacy with this, but I'm going with Gabe Smith, plays in Moncton in the Quebec League. Big centerman, just signed an entry-level contract with Utah maybe a month or two ago. 6'5", 207-pound centerman, 19 years old in August. He was drafted in the 4th round, but he's been making the ranks, rising in the prospect pool. He had a great playoff where he had 22 points in 19 games played in the playoffs. Plays with Desnoyers. Maybe Desnoyers on this board. Who knows? And he had 20 goals this past season in the Quebec League, increased by 11 goals from 9 from his previous season in 52 games played. He's that big body centerman that is relentless, got great work ethic, plays the body. And in our center depth, we don't have, well, we have, now we're getting a lot with Desnoyers, but Desnoyers, Baudouin, and Smith are sort of those big centerpiece centermen that will come through the rankings. Maybe Castagna in the NCAA if he has a better NCAA season this season. I was pretty underwhelmed with his stats this past season. Next, we'll go to number 7. He was on both of the lists in 2023 and 2024. Maverick Lamoureux, who I was, a bit underwhelmed with watching those Tucson Roadrunner playoffs. I feel like Duda really outshined him. I feel like he really didn't have a good season in the AHL. He had 13 points in 42 American Hockey League games, only 2 goals. He actually looked better in the NHL where he played about 15 games. He was obviously rushed to the NHL due to all these injuries. And we had a pretty good look at him, like I said, 15 games, but I would have expected a more out of him in the American Hockey League, since everyone says that the American Hockey League is weaker than the NHL, obviously, but it's a different type of game, more physical, more hard-nosed. The systems aren't really fluid and consistent and in place, whereas the NHL, it's a bit more predictable because every team has their system. You have good coaches, good line mates to help you through playing, where in Tucson, a little bit underwhelming here. Let me put where he was. He was 6th place in both of them. That's why I was getting confused. So he dropped only 1 spot from the 2 prospect rankings. A lot of droppings, no rise. We have 2 risers from unranked here. Maybe we'll get a riser soon. But number 6, we go to a player, one of the 2 Russians who signed a contract recently, Daniel Boot, huge power forward, picked in the 2023 draft, 13th overall, where Simishev was picked 6th overall. Obviously, now you know Simishev is on here. Daniel Boot, 6'6", 216-pound power forward winger, 20 years old. In the past 2 drafts, he was number 3 and 5. Wow. So he dropped. Maybe some other prospects leapfrogged over him. I don't know what's going to happen with Boot this upcoming season. He could start in Tucson. There's an open spot on the 4th line. If you keep all the lines the same, you put Peterka with Hayden and Schmaltz, you put Tanev with Krause and McBain, then you have Kerfoot, Stenlin, and O'Brien. I don't like seeing O'Brien there every night, so maybe Boot gets that 4th line wing position spot. And that'll be great to play with 2-way defensive-minded forwards in Kerfoot and Stenlin. They can handle the face-offs, the defensive duties, and we'll see what type of player Boot is. Maybe he goes and grabs that 3rd-line wing position from Tanev. But I'm just really excited to finally see him watch hockey. And we'll see whether he starts in Tucson or the Utah Mammoth. His time on ice has increased in every KHL season. So he's a big body, attacks the net. I'm just excited to finally watch him in Simishev, which I haven't been able to because they play in the KHL, not in the AHL. So I'm just really excited for that. And then we go to number 5. We're going to do the top 5 here. He was 7th last year and unranked the year before because he wasn't drafted yet. But drafted in 2024, a 1st-round pick. Oops. Going to go with a centerman, Cole Baudouin, if I could spell this correctly. He was ranked last year at number 7, so here's the riser from 7 to 5, and obviously he wasn't drafted yet for that other top 10 prospect pool. The development staff, the skate, like all this staff that was part of the development camp for Utah the past week or 2 weeks ago, they were amazed at Cole Beaudoin's work ethic, how strong and noticeably strong he got. The staff called it hockey strong. They were just really impressed with him. Like I said, he is a centerman, one of our top center prospects after Desnoyers. Like I said, is Desnoyers on here yet? He won the award of excellence at development camp. There were some other awards given out. He's got that relentless motor, high compete level. Desnoyers called Beaudoin and Iginla dogs when he played with them on Team Canada in like an under 18 showcase a summer or two ago. So really excited for Cole Beaudoin. He stayed in training camp last year with the hockey club until pretty much the very end. I do wonder if he makes a push for a spot. Maybe he beats out Daniel Boot. Maybe, you know, he earns a spot. He gets a 9-game showcase in the NHL, and then they decide what to do with him, because he really pushed hard for a spot last year, and we'll see. He's a competitor. He's going to push for a spot as well. And it's great that all these young prospects are just, like I said, dogs. They all want to play in the NHL. Even Desnoyers, the day he got drafted, he's like, I want to play in the NHL. I'm not writing it off just because I'm 18 and just got drafted and I was 4th overall. I don't want to go back to junior. I want to try. My goal is to make the NHL. So to have a lot of prospects with that goal just pretty much creates and instills an environment where these guys are just pushing hard, and the other prospects got to push hard too. If these guys are working really hard, you got to up your effort and sort of match their effort. Beaudoin, a centerman. We have all the positions: a centerman, a defenseman, a winger. We don't have a goalie, and we're going to have a goalie right now at number 4 with Hurribal, Czechia goalie, playing for UMass in the NCAA. Most recently refused or declined a contract from Bill Armstrong, and he talked about it. They asked him up front, hey, you know, what do you think, why you're going back to the NCAA? Hurribal said there's more practice time, less games played, so I could hone and improve my skills. He wants to be the best version of himself he could be. He's got great NCAA numbers, and I love that for a player, and especially a goalie, knowing that, you know what, I'm not ready. I want to improve some areas. I want to practice more. I love my team in UMass, and when I'm ready, I will sign with my NHL club, the Utah Mammoth. Drafted in the 2nd round in 2023. He's 20 years old, 6'7", 216 pounds. Where was he drafted the previous years? Number 4 last year and number 9 the year before. Obviously, he was just drafted in 2023, so that's why I had him at number 9. But staying at number 4, we should not trade him ever. We really need to see him flourish and flower into an NHL position, whether that's backup or a starter. This guy's untouchable. He shouldn't be traded because this is our best goalie prospect, and we need to see him through. And pretty much I wouldn't have liked him signing a contract a couple months ago because we still have Vialta and Stauber in Tucson, so he would have been a 3rd-string rotating goalie. I think next year, once Vialta and Stauber's contracts are up, it's more of a clear picture and a clear path. He could go right into the American Hockey League, be a starter or backup, get some playing time, and then work his way to the backup of Karel Vejmelka, his fellow countryman. Now we go to the top 3. He was ranked number 3. No, he was ranked number 2 last year. So he dropped 1 spot. It is Tej Iginla, who obviously had a very frustrating season with double hip surgery, but we shouldn't be so terrified of that surgery, a double hip surgery, because most recently Tim Stützle of Ottawa, the Ottawa Senators, when he was 18, he had double hip surgery, and Stützle has become one of the better Ottawa Senator forwards. He's a high impact player. It seems like he didn't even miss a step. And the staff watching Iginla at the development camp said he's one of the strongest skaters on this team in the camp. He worked hard. He rehabilitated himself. He's now at 100% in full contact. I expect him to go back down to juniors, or now that the Canadian Hockey League and the NCAA are friends now, maybe he could go to a college team in the NCAA. I expect him to play for Team Canada at the World Juniors in December, and I just expect him to have a really great junior year, considering he missed more than half of last year's year. He was drafted 6th overall in 2024 last summer, so he did miss a lot of development time, but it seems like the staff is happy for where he's at, and I expect him to have one of the few eye-popping seasons in the WHL with Kelowna, unless he goes to another junior team, like I said, the NCAA. Next, we'll go to the top 2. This number 2 prospect, drafted 6th overall in 2023. He was first on the list last year, he was at number 4 the year prior, but he drops down to number 2, and it's another huge defenseman signed from Russia. It's Dmitry Simashev. Now you're saying, who is better than Simashev on this list? I think you guys can figure that out. Simashev, there's a lot of internal competition in terms of defense for Utah. I posted in a number of videos where they have 9 NHL roster defensemen, not including Simashev or Lamoureux. They still have Valimaki on that defensive roster. You got to leapfrog DeSimone and Cole Hoare, depth defensemen there in terms of injuries. Even most recently signed Nate Schmidt. There are so many NHL caliber defensemen in this system, and if Simashev earns a spot on the defensive pairing, it wasn't just given to him. It wasn't free. He earned it because there were so many defensemen, so many bodies of defensemen in the organization. Last year, Utah was decimated with injuries on the back end. It's pretty much impossible for that to happen again. So Bill Armstrong has put himself in a position where, injuries aren't going to be an excuse if they do, and hopefully not, miss the playoffs. But Simashev won the KHL championship with teammate Daniel Boot. He said he's been friends with Boot since 13. He's been training with Sergachev this offseason. Towering defenseman at 6'5", 203 pounds. I just can't wait to see this guy play hockey in North America. I might have to watch some Tucson games if Daniel Boot and Simashev don't make Utah, because I could finally have the ease of access to watch him play hockey. He had a great development camp as well. I think he won an award as well. I'm trying to see here. Yeah, he won the development camp scrimmage MVP. So they held a scrimmage at development camp, and he was awarded the most valuable player. So good on Simashev. And now we'll go to number 1. Obviously, I think it's pretty obvious now. We go to the most recent prospect that was drafted in Desnoyers, 4th overall, if I could spell this correctly as well. Now, it's not recency bias. I mean, it could be, but I think he's going to be a premier centerman for Utah. I think in a few years, he might even battle out Cooley for the number 1 center position. I think him and Cooley are very similar, but Desnoyers, he's got the size and the height on Cooley. If Desnoyers could just beef up a little bit more. But, I mean, this guy is focused to win. He's won at every level. He won the Quebec championship with teammate Gabe Smith. He loves to win, wants to win, a high competitor. He's got goals to make this team right away, even though I don't think he will make the team. But his work ethic, his motor, the fact that, scouting staff had their eyes on this kid before they even knew they were going to pick at 4th overall, because they would see Gabe Smith play. The scouts were like, this kid, this Desnoyers kid is amazing. It would be a miracle if we're able to grab him somehow, some way. They win the draft lottery. They have their eyes set on him, and they draft him. They talk to his coaches in Quebec, his family. He's from Quebec, so Andre Tourigny has that connection there. I just love when this guy speaks. I think he's got a mindset and a goal. He wants to achieve his goals. He's got that mindset to be the best he can be. And I really do think he will be either a first-line center or second-line center. Maybe have 2 first-line centers in Cooley and Desnoyers on Utah in the foreseeable future. But I think it's just he fits the mold so well. He's one of those dogs like Baudouin and Iginla. It's just creating this prospect pool of competitors, relentless guys, great work ethic, great character people who want to push this team forward. I think this team is in great hands if they keep drafting players like this, and they have been. Even Gunther, he was a guy who loves hockey, dreams about hockey. Keller dreams about hockey. He texts his coaches about hockey every day. All Keller wants to do is compete and improve and be better every single day because he knows other players in the NHL are training every day. He needs to train a little bit harder. He's a captain, and it's just trickling down even to the prospects and even to low-end draft picks. Like if you're picked second, third, fourth round, like Gabe Smith in the fourth round, they're carrying that work ethic and that mindset through. So this organization, I love the direction they're going to, and I think with these top 10 prospects, they're in great hands, and they're just going to continue building on this. They have their first round picks for the next 3-4 years. They haven't traded any. They still have 3 second round draft picks in 2026 draft. So they're just going to keep building, and maybe even turn that corner where they could afford to trade draft picks for established players because their prospect pool is so large, is so competitive, is so deep. And that's exactly the position we should be in 4 or 5 years into this rebuild. So that's it for me for the top 10 prospects. Like I said, next week we'll have the full organizational depth chart, every single player. It's going to be great, visually pleasing, more than this, hopefully. So as always, thank you for watching, and thank you for your